What do you need improvement in?
Just want to go through and win.
What is the purpose of overthinking? You're taking care of your loved one. That's how you can increase your sales.
Hello, everybody. This is Faris.
And this is Faris Flournoy, and welcome to another episode of Conversations with the Homecare Guyz.
Man, Caleb, brother, what's going on, brother?
Man, everything is well. Everything is well.
That's what's up, man.
I'm happy to be alive, but I'm happy to just be here, be present, and I'm just happy about life. That's what's up, man. I'm ultimately happy about life, and that's one thing. Every day I want to wake up just being extremely happy. I want to wake up being happy because, so many people did not wake up. So many people are in the hospital, in the nursing home, even though things may not go my way or go the way that I like. But you know what? We get to choose to be happy.
Is that realistic to be happy every day?
It is. It is. It's a choice.
It's a choice. Well, I think I think
it's a choice.
Before we jump into our conversation, I think that right there, guys, today we're going to be talking about what are you reading? Caleb and I, we brought two of our books. Bam, if you can see it. If not, we'll kind of get it up there. But we're going to be talking about a couple books that we're reading today. And we realize the impact of reading. Reading, it allows us to grow personally. It allows us to go through and change our frame of thinking. It allows us to ask questions, powerful questions as well. And allows us to go through and look at life from a different perspective. And I think that's why, Caleb, I asked you that question was, is it realistic to have a happy day, a good day every day? Yeah.
You know what? Let me say this, Faris. So I heard this story, and this story just really captivated my heart so much. And so there was this blind lady that was married to her husband, and they were older couple. We're gonna give her an age of like 85, okay? And the husband recently died, and so the blind lady didn't have any kids, and so the state ordered her to to move into a nursing home. And so just think about this. She's in this home with her husband that really took care of her on a day-to-day basis. And now the state has mandated for her to go into a nursing home. And so this blind lady now, so she doesn't have any family. And so when she made it to the nursing home, she waited in the lobby for a few hours. And then the nurse said, okay, we finally have your room. So she's blind. She waited a few hours in the lobby. And then they said that, your room is available. While the nurse was rolling her to the bedroom, the nurse was describing the room to her. She was like, you have a small room and it has a window here. And guess what she said? I love it. I love it. I love it. And the nurse said, well, you haven't even, you haven't been in there yet. You don't know how the furniture look. She said, I love it. And at the end of it, she asked the nurse asked her, well, why are you so happy? Why are you so excited about this? Your husband died. You move into a space that, you're moving from your home. You're going into a room that's small. Like, why do you, she love it? She said, you know what? It's a choice that I have to make automatically.
Wow.
And so it's not, when you ask that question about can you be happy, it's ultimately a choice.
Yes.
And so despite her not seeing the room, despite her probably not really liking the furniture or the smell of it, she made a choice and says, you know what, I love it.
Wow. And that's going to change the whole atmosphere of her insight of her experience there, because she knows she has to be there. And so instead of complaining every day, what is complaining going to do? So she just said, you know what, I love it. And so I'm choosing that. I'm choosing that for me and saying, you know what, every day I'm waking up, even though things may not go my way, even though things may not go as planned, you have to make that conscious decision and say, you know what, I love it. I love that, man. I love it. And I think this kind of ties into reading. I know we're talking about reading today as well. But this kind of ties out. I'm going to find it when you're talking next. Making a conscious decision. What reading does, it allows you to go through and actually not just stay within your own frame of mind, not to go through and lean on what you learned from mom and dad and grandma. It allows you to go through and take other life experiences, other stories, other things, and infuse it into your belief system to go through so that you can go through and actually change the trajectory of your life as well. And one thing, I'm reading the book called The Energy Bus by John Gordon. And so the energy bus is a little bit about, it's about a gentleman who works for a corporation, and he is going through a lot of turmoil in his family, in his work environment, and he's in leadership, he's in management.
And so one day he actually, his wife was telling him, make sure you change the tire on the vehicle. And one day he went into the garage and realized that the vehicle tire was flat. Wow. So he had to go through and get on this bus, and he was complaining and moaning and everything. It was just everything negative. He was like, well, why do I have to walk a mile and something to get on this bus? And when he got on the bus, he met the bus driver. Her name is Joy. And Joy, I think she exemplified her name as well.
I was say, how ironic, Joy.
Yeah. And so Joy actually, she greeted him very joyfully. She made a conscious decision that today was going to be a great day. And what she did was she impacted his life. I'm not going to go through and give the whole book away. I'm going to give a few little nuggets. But she impacted his life by asking those questions. And what he was able to do, he was able to reframe his thinking to realize that life is not just what happens to me. I can make a conscious decision to make life better. I can make a decision to go through and say, okay, well, hey, good. I can change my environment by the way I'm thinking. Mm-hmm. And so that's one thing is, and it's a lot of positive energy, a lot of what you say about yourself, a lot of things people that you surround yourself with. That's what Joy brought to his life. And I think those are the energy buzz that I'm on right now, and I realize that that's how I impact other individuals, was about the energy that I bring around them.
Right.
And so, and I'm going to get into this a little bit later, but Caleb, what book are you reading, Mara?
So I am reading, this book right here is, what I mean to tell you, simply amazing. It's called The Art of Communicating. Okay. It's by Thich Nhat Hanh. And I always try to get this spelling. Thich is Thich. Nhat is a Nhat, and then Han is Hanah. But Thich Nhat Hanh is he's a Buddhist. Mm-hmm. And actually, he was friends with Dr. Martin Luther King. Oh, wow. And so Dr. Martin Luther King nominated him for a Nobel Peace Prize. Mm-hmm. And so Thich Nhat Hanh is all about teaching people how to communicate effectively. And so it's about, he has something about, it's called deep listening, mm-hmm. as well as compassionate listening, mm-hmm. and loving speech. And he talks about, especially everyone has suffering. And this is just so deep. Like I listened to this audiobook, and it was just amazing. I had to buy the book. But everyone goes through suffering. Mm-hmm. And so he was like, in order to eliminate someone's suffering, you just have to listen compassionately. Mm. And sometimes, when people talk, they may say things like, they may say things that are not true, cool. that may get you angry, may get you upset. But in order for you to, if you're listening compassionately, you won't interrupt. You'll let that person get it all out, mm-hmm. because you're eliminating their suffering.
Wow.
That's crazy.
That is.
I mean, because it takes a skill. And he talks about mindfulness and being, meditating mindfulness and breathing and all these things that allow you to allow that person to speak without interruption and things of that sort. And so with that, Faris, is like, if that person suffers less, then you can revisit that thing and say, you know what, well, the perspective that you saw it in was this perspective, but this is actually what I meant, or this is what I was trying to let you understand, but I wanted you to get it out. And so about alleviating sufferings, and Oprah did an interview with him on Super Soul Sunday, when she was doing her Super Soul Sundays, videos and stuff like that on YouTube and on the OWN network. But Thich Nhat Hanh is when I mean to tell you, a revolutionary person that is changing how we communicate, and how we understand communicate, and how we can alleviate suffering from others. And I just think about even Faris, our childhood. Our childhood. We grew up in our childhood where our mother was a single parent and our dad was, not really in our lives and things of that sort. And those were suffering moments. And so how we respond right now to our everyday situations or our friendships or our relationships come from that trauma. And so sometimes, we don't need that advice. We just need to get it out. And so just by listening deeply and being compassionate, you are alleviating the suffering from others. So those are just some of the bullets, Faris. Man, we're not even going to get into the mantras that he's telling about.
And I want you to go through and find a part in your book that that really touched you, and some things that you kind of highlighted on as well, because I think one thing is, I want you all to join in this conversation. I want you to go through and type below exactly what are you reading right now, because one thing we do realize that if you're desiring to be a leader, I don't care if it's leading a business, leading your family, leading a community. You have to be a fervent reader. You have to go through and actually get outside of just the things that you knew in high school or in grade school or in college. You have to go through and start actually going through and actually kind of reading other things as well. One thing I took from this book was, I took a few things. I took so many different notes. I
finished reading it yet?
No, I'll be finished probably today. I probably have about 30 more pages. I'll be finished today.
We need to switch. I want to read that.
One thing that I took, so George was the main character for this book. And so when he got bit with the positive energy, when he started reflecting on his life to realize that, hey, he can control his environment through the way that he thought, because he realized that those negative things that he thought, it was actually being felt around him at home and also in the office setting as well. So when he realized that he had power to actually go through and change his environment, he became the CEO of his company, of his life. And the CEO does not mean the chief executive officer. He became the chief energy officer of his family and also of his team as well.
I like that.
And so he had to go in and make decisions. He had to go through and make some critical decisions. He had to realize first introspectively to go through and look at himself to say, you know what, I was the problem. I was the problem. I was the reason why company culture was not at its all-time high. I was the reason why we could not go through and keep great team members on the team. It was me. It wasn't them. It was me, because I was bringing in my problems, my woes, my attitude, everything. It started with me. And once he realized that and started to change and transform it, then he had to have some crucial conversations with his team, because now he wanted them to actually get on that energy bus with them. He wanted to show them that he was a transformed man, and he wanted to go through and show them. Some people got on the bus with them and said, okay, you know what, George, we see you. We see you're changing. We're loving this. We're going to go through and follow you. Others reflected on when he used to act like this, or when he once did this, to go through and actually leave a bad taste in his mouth. And he had to go through and realize that either there's two ways he can go through and actually deal with that situation. He can acknowledge that and say, you know what, yes, that was me, but I'm transforming now. And then they had to go through and react and say, you know what, okay, well, hey, I believe in your transformation. I'm going to follow along with you. Or some of them continue to be negative Nancy or negative John or whoever, negative Jose. And what he had to do was actually get the energy vampires off his bus. And so he had a crucial conversation with them.
You need to say that again. That is powerful.
Yeah. In this, it teaches us how to deal with people that will not get with the vision, who's going to hold you accountable to what you once was, and instead of the person you're transforming to be. And this could be in relationship. This can be in business. This can be in family. Yes, I used to mess up. Yes, I used to do this, but I'm a transformed person, and this is where my confession of my transformation is happening, and this is where I'm going. So either we get with the vision and move forward, or I got to get you off my bus. And so he had to make a tough decision to get some people off his bus. It was amazing. You guys got to get this book, The Energy Bus. I started it yesterday. It'll probably take 1 or 2 days to go through and read the whole book.
You started it yesterday?
Yeah, it's very good. But it'll take a day or two to read the book, if that. It's just an amazing book, man. So give me an excerpt, man, from what you read.
I want to talk about, while we're talking about people suffering, and while we're talking about listen compassionately, I think that this right here stood out is, in order to communicate with someone, the question was, do I understand you enough? Yeah. So let me read this real quick. It says, if you want to make someone happy, you should ask yourself the question, do I understand him enough? Do I understand her enough? Many people are reluctant to talk because they fear that what they say will be misunderstood. There are people who suffer so much, they're not capable of telling us about their suffering inside. And we have the impression that nothing is wrong until it's too late.
Wow.
And so I think that, especially with whether it's friendship, a business relationship, or relationship intimately or so, asking those questions, do I understand you enough? And I think that sometimes in friendships or relationships, we get to a point where it's too late to ask those questions. And I think that is to a point where you have to acknowledge, well, I haven't been understanding you enough, so I want to understand you now.
Wow.
And so that's what it is. And so it's deep. It's deep. It's really teaching you how to communicate. Like I wish I would have had this book when I was 18.
Man.
Like I wish. So if you are a high schooler, if you are a young adult, even if you older people and you are older or seasoned people and you're watching this podcast, please pick up this book, Thich Nhat Hanh. I think that you will love it. Oprah talked about another book that he read. I think is Living Buddha, Living Christ. I think I want to get that. Because Thich Nhat Hanh expresses that Christ is, well, Buddha is, I guess the representation of Buddha is more so of someone that is a passionate person that is loving and understands and has empathy and things of that sort. And so living Buddha, living Christ, he was talking about Christ is like the Buddha of the West. That's what he was pretty much saying. But it's about communicating. It's about alleviating people's suffering. It's about understanding that person and truly listening. Truly listen. So I think that this is great. This definitely going to help me, especially it's going to help entrepreneurs.
Yes.
If you are an entrepreneur, I think that you need to definitely, I recommend it's a New York Times national or a national bestseller. Definitely get this book. It's going to help you out with your communication.
Exactly. And again, like just this conversation, we hope this conversation sparked you to go through and pick up a book. Go through and ask yourself, when was the last time you picked up a book? One thing my coach, he told me was, especially when I'm looking for someone in leadership, and this is for those that especially in the job market or on entrepreneurial pathway, is ask them, what book are you reading? What was the last book you read? And that will tell a lot about the person as well.
That's a good interview. You said interview.
Yeah, that will tell you, because leaders are readers. Leaders never get a chance. They never put down something, because we're always fervently trying to learn something, or we're trying to go through and actually get better at our craft. Because some people may be reading books that help them in their specialties. Others may be going through and actually finding areas that they may be weak in and trying to go through and grow in. Others may be trying to explore something to put in their tool belt to go through and actually help with leading others as well. And others may be just thinking about, okay, how can I lead my family better or my finances better? So that's the power of picking up a book. That's the power of picking up a book. So I would encourage you. These are just two recommendations that Caleb and I have as well of the books that we're reading. But these are just like that. We're always constantly reading. Caleb, we may have to go through and actually put this into one of our normal cycles. Maybe once a month, we go through and actually just let our audience know what book we're reading and the impact that it's having on our lives.
Yeah. And I'm going to tell you one thing. I was, and just encourage you guys, even if it's starting off small, like you don't have to read a thick novel. It may be something really a quick read. Like we talked about the book Who Moved My Cheese. Yeah. Something that's like a quick read, and get that on your Rolodex, or get that on your, start reading that book. But these right here, this is a quick read. I think you probably can finish this in maybe a few days or so, and probably yours a few days if you really just be consistent with it. Like I said, one thing I typically do is, I start doing is listening to audiobooks first on YouTube. And so the audiobook pretty much encouraged me to see if I really am interested in the book. Yeah. And then I go out there and purchase and read the hard copy. And so, yeah, that's just a tip.
I'm going to also give a tip, especially for kids as well. One thing that my wife and I are doing as well. So I'm tasked with going through this week to go through and picking up my daughter. She's 6 years old. So she just finished in kindergarten, but I'm going to go through and get her first novel. Like we're past the phase of the little books.
Picture books.
No, she passed that. So I'm going to get her a novel that has at least about 50 something pages, because I don't want her to be intimidated by the thickness of a book. I want her at 6 years old to go and start reading that, get those 50 pages out of the way, get those 100 pages out of the way, and then us having a conversation about what she read as well. Of course, she's probably not getting no business book. It's going to be something that's age appropriate for her and things that she's interested in. But that's how you go through and get it early. You go through and get the love of learning, the love of reading inside of a child early, because once they go through, this is something that sticks with the person.
Right.
You go through school and you get good grades for 12, 13 years. You go to college, get good grades for those other 4 to 6 years. But after college and after grade school, what else? Like what is the grading scale? Like the grading scale is what you learn. And this is a lifetime. This is a skill that you can give your children that can go through and benefit them for the lifetime as well. So that's one thing.
I'm going to tell you one thing. That's what they always say. If you put in the book, people don't read it.
Yep.
So you want to definitely pick up a book. And I would just encourage, like I I think I've read for the past 2 months. I read like 2 books.
Good.
And so right now I'm finishing up this book, and I'm going to continue to read. And I want you to be on this journey with us as we continue to expand our mind. I want you to expand your mind. So pick up a book. I don't care if it's this then, or if it's start out with a newspaper article or whatever you need to do, but definitely a book. Get you a book that you really want to learn and you can kind of get some information from.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
So there you have another great episode of Conversations with the Home Care Guys. I want you to remember to follow us on Spotify if you can, as well as our YouTube channel, which is Conversation with the Home Care Guys. We have some pretty dope reels that we put on the top of our YouTube page. And thanks to our videographer, he gets everything done for us. He does an amazing job. So definitely subscribe, like, and share our posts, as well as if you have a comment, write down a comment so we can definitely start that conversation.
Exactly. Guys, there you have it. This has been another great episode. Again, go through and tag someone. Let us know what books you're reading. And then just go through and pass the message on that if you're a leader, you need to be a reader. Have a great one.
Love it.